States across the country are cracking down on people who violate social distancing rules. Many police departments are using drones equipped with megaphones to enforce draconian laws. Minnesota has some of the strictest rules, to the point that the people staged a drive-in protest to the governor's mansion. Naturally, the fake news decided to say that states like Kentucky that stage such protests as well, and where the people are eager to go back to their jobs, have a higher rate of the virus. The protest in question occurred on Wednesday and the spike was reported on Sunday. Accounting for the 2-week incubation period, testing for the virus, and no demographic comparison of the people infected, this is bunk science at best. Still, Democrats like Pelosi are resistant to give aid, not because it would help people, but because it would make Trump look good.
We turn now to that $350 billion fund to help small businesses and its workers get through the shutdown.
It will be up to Congress to restock it.
But Democrats blocking that move this morning.
They asked for $250 billion in 48 hours. I said, well, I don't think so. They objected, and I congratulate the Senate Democrats.
Speaker Pelosi, what are you going to share with us from your home?
Chocolate candy.
Thousands have been forced to wait for hours at food banks all across the country.
This is chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here. We just got it restocked with the ice cream.
You don't want to eat up everything all at one time.
I can't do it much longer. I'm trying so hard.
We were, shall we say, enjoying.
Having to admit that, we're starving, and
I like it better than anything else.
Taping this segment, there are 22 million people out of work.
This specific program is about stopping job losses today.
This is hurting people bad.
Other people in our family go for some other flavors, but
right now it's survival move. You don't know where that next something else is going to come from.
I don't know what I would have done if ice cream were not invented. I just wonder.
Fake news anchors like Brian Stelter are getting in on the act as well.
Can I just put that over there? It's okay to not be okay right now. That's the main thing I want to say to everyone watching. It wasn't until this Friday night that I hit a wall. I was supposed to be finishing my nightly newsletter that I mentioned earlier, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't get it done, and that's when the tears came. I mean, yeah, there were some messages from guys trying to do that performative masculinity thing, saying men shouldn't cry or talk about crying.
Oh, barf. This is a guy who got a special exemption to the government quarantines he so fervently supports for other people. All of us in the media got that exemption, by the way. This is a guy who's working in a high-paying job when tens of millions of Americans are not working at all. Please be quiet. Your tears are not, quote, a big part of the story, and neither are you. For God's sakes, please stop talking about yourself. It is unsufferable.
Why not just let people go back to work and take a risk with the flu? The number of things people have been charged for are too numerous to list in their entirety here, but include gardening, waveboarding, garage sales, holding church and cars, posting year-old vacation photos, and using a public park. The question is, when this happens again, will the country remember? We hear from Democrats every day that Trump will become a dictator if left unchecked. President Trump fulfilled this prediction by allowing the individual governors the authority to open up when they felt it was best. Wait a minute. That is the very opposite of a dictator. States like Texas are opening up soon. On the other hand, there are states like Georgia, in which President Trump warned Governor Kemp that it would be unwise to open as he intends to. However, it is still his call to make. The states that drag their feet are going to be worse off. If states do not open businesses back up soon, we will have another Great Depression on our hands. We know that sheriffs have been making citations and arresting people for violating social gathering rules. If the concern was really limiting the spread of germs, even stores would be shut down. It is not just because no politician wants to shut down the economy. It is all about control of the people. This is why going to church where all you do is sit, stand, and listen is getting such harsh treatment. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly shut down worship services in her state, but a federal court overruled her. This battle is not over yet, and we have seen what the forces of darkness are willing to do to those who dare to cross their path. Remember last week when people were standing 6 feet apart and were protesting an abortion clinic? They were arrested. The problem was not social distancing. It was how abortions, child sacrifices, cannot be limited under any circumstances. With schools closed down, parents in many respects are having to step up their game even more. Now, I am not saying that a parent's job is not hard, but it is being made even harder. The thing is that a lot of parents already homeschool their children, and it is a popular alternative for those who do not have the option for private school and do not trust the government school. This whole thing has been an amazing test case to see if such a thing could actually work. So much so that Elizabeth Bartholet argued that this is depriving the children of a meaningful education. Translation: we want the state to control what your child is taught and thinks. A parent might say something that conflicts with whatever political agenda is being taught. We need to remember that parents have the final say and not just give kids back to the state if you can. Schools will not open back up until August, and we have found that more jobs can be performed largely from home than previously thought. Of course, every situation is different, but a one-size-fits-all policy rarely ever works out. Back to Bartholet. The argument she gives is that children need to interact with other kids. If only there was some sort of place where children could interact with each other, with sunshine and fresh air. I guess there's no place outside of school for something like that. The China virus is about as serious as the flu. The USS Teddy Roosevelt has a crew of 4,800 people, and of that, 60% are asymptomatic. 5 were hospitalized, and only 1 died. Those sound like the proportions that one would expect from the flu to me. The thing about a ship is that it is a closed system, and perfect for testing how fast a germ spreads or how deadly it is. This is just one example of the many ships that got this bug in them, with relatively similar results. Food for thought. If China and WHO had not lied, 95% of the cases could have been prevented. Whenever you see someone touting a big number of people who died from the virus, remember that you need to divide it by 20. This is a flu with a prolonged incubation period and a significant head start. The price of oil is plummeting right now, and many people will soon be out of work as a result. Ever want to capitalize on an opportunity to further the Green New Deal, AOC claimed that this would be a good time to convert to clean energy. Only a socialist would be happy that people were out of work. Aside from the fact that people being out of work means they cannot afford the expensive Green New Deal, they probably would not anyway. It's not as if she said that people should not go back to work after the quarantine is over and protest. Oh wait! What's this? She is just like the rest of the Democrats. They are happy if everyone does not work because then they are dependent on the government like good little sheep. A vaccine for the China virus may be as much as a year away. Here is a reality check for everyone about the flu vaccine. The virus mutates to the point where there are any number of strands that will be immune. The medical industry picks one of them and hopes that it will stop the strain that year. We already know that this virus mutates as well, And anyone who makes the vaccine, whether it be Bill Gates or anyone else, stands to make a fortune, especially if it is mandated. Flashback to February 2019, when 22,000 nurses refused to take a shot that was less than 70% effective. Nurses are mandated to get these, lest the hospital lose funding. It all comes down to money. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Just follow the money.
While I am a bit late to the party on this one, I did not initially want to comment on it because it is not the most important story. There are a lot of women who make accusations, whether it be against Bill Clinton or Brett Kavanaugh. Some are real, and some are women who target men in positions of power to try and get something. My problem with the coverage over Joe Biden is that it has been very one-sided. Hardly anyone from the Me Too movement has condemned Biden. The one thing that I hate more than anything else is a double standard. Georgia State Representative Vernon Jones endorsed President Trump for re-election. This by itself should not be newsworthy, because politicians endorse other politicians all the time. This is newsworthy because not only is Jones a Democrat, but his party tried to get him to step down over this decision. Attacks on Trump supporters is nothing new. Whether it be milkshakes, stealing hats, or Maxine Waters and others telling people that they are not welcome.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
These attacks are common now because the swamp is being drained. Vernon Jones was going to step down, but in a show of courage, he decided not to. Because humans have been inside more, wild animals are returning to their original habitats. It has made for some adorable pictures, but it did start a meme going that humans are the real virus. Pope Francis made news this last week by claiming that the Earth is responding to human activities. Granted, he did say that by damaging his creation, it is a sin against God, but I digress. We are supposed to be good stewards of the Earth. And granted, there are some ways that we could do a better job. However,
people are dying.
And liberals are more concerned about using this to pass green energy bills. They realize that they can use the same forces that were used to lock people up to stop global warming. Only a party of baby killers could see people dying as a way to advance an agenda like this. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my